Picture this, you're standing in front of a stone that weighs more than two elephants combined. No crane nearby, no truck, no electricity humming in the background, just you, a few hundred other people, some rope, and an idea that this stone needs to end up exactly where you want it. Sounds impossible, right? And yet somehow this happened over and over again across the ancient world. So today, let's actually figure out how. Honestly, when you first hear about places like Stonehenge or the pyramids of Giza, your brain almost refuses to accept the answer. No machines, no modern tools, sometimes not even the wheel. But here's the thing, these people weren't lucky, and they definitely weren't helped by aliens, no matter what late-night documentaries try to tell you. They were just incredibly resourceful, and honestly pretty brilliant engineers working with what they had. Let's start with Stonehenge because the story behind it is wild once you break it down. Construction began around 3100 BCE, and get this. Some of the smaller bluestones used in the monument were dragged from quarries roughly 200 miles away in Wales. 200 miles, with no engines. So how? Researchers studying the logistics now believe builders used teams of oxen paired with wooden sledges, and estimates suggest they could move these massive stones around 10 miles a day. That means the journey from quarry to construction site likely took about 2 weeks. Not fast, but absolutely doable with patience and teamwork. Once the stones actually arrived, the real challenge began. These weren't small rocks. Some of the larger sarsen stones at Stonehenge weighed up to 25 tons. To stand them upright, builders dug deep pits, tilted one end of the stone into the hole, and then used wooden frames, ropes, and pure human muscle to slowly lever it into a standing position. It's basically physics turned into teamwork, repeated again and again until an entire circle of standing stones existed where there used to be empty grassland. Now here's where it gets even more impressive. This wasn't random trial and error. Many ancient monuments follow incredibly precise geometric layouts, and that includes Stonehenge. The placement of the stones lines up with solar events like the summer and winter solstice. That means these builders weren't just moving rocks. They were tracking the sky, doing math in their heads or on the ground, and translating that knowledge into permanent stone architecture that still works today, thousands of years later. Let's jump over to Egypt for a second because the pyramids bring their own set of challenges. We're talking about structures made of millions of stone blocks, some weighing several tons each. For decades, people assumed enslaved labor alone explains it, but archaeological evidence tells a more complex story. Workers' villages near the pyramid sites reveal organized labor forces, complete with bakeries, medical care, and structured housing. These weren't random crowds forced into labor. They were organized crews, likely including skilled laborers working in rotating shifts, possibly even seasonal farmers filling time when the Nile floods made farming impossible. To move the heavy stone blocks, Egyptian builders relied on something surprisingly simple but genius: wooden sledges. Tomb paintings actually show workers pouring water onto the sand directly in front of these sledges. That single detail mattered more than you'd think, because wet sand reduces friction dramatically, making it significantly easier to drag massive weights across long distances. It's the kind of solution that looks obvious once you see it, but took real observation and experimentation to discover. Of course, not every massive ancient structure followed the exact same playbook, and that's worth pointing out. In Cambodia, the builders of Angkor Wat faced a different problem entirely. Instead of long-distance stone transport like Stonehenge, they needed to coordinate construction across swampy, water-heavy terrain. Engineers there developed elaborate canal systems, not just for irrigation, but to actually float massive sandstone blocks closer to the temple site. So while the core challenge everywhere was the same, moving incredibly heavy material without modern machinery, the solution always depended on what nature handed them locally. Stone, sand, rivers, oxen, whatever was available became the toolkit. So when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, what these ancient builders accomplished wasn't about brute force alone. It was deep observation of their environment, disciplined organization of huge groups of people, and an understanding of basic physics passed down generation after generation without ever being written in a textbook. Honestly, modern engineers still study these methods today, not because we lack better tools, but because the core problem solving on display is genuinely impressive on its own. So the next time you see a photo of the pyramids or Stonehenge, it's worth remembering that no advanced secret technology built these places, no mysterious outside help either. Just thousands of ordinary people, generations of patience, and a level of ingenuity that honestly still leaves modern engineers a little amazed.